Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is the web of life. We may consider ourselves as individuals, we may experience moments of loneliness and isolation when in fact we are inextricably connected to one another as human beings, to the natural world, and we really truly reside within the web of life. So today we're going to talk about that. But before we get started, let's take, oh, hi, Roslyn, welcome. So good to have you joining us this morning. We're going to just take a couple minutes to get present before we start talking about our topic. So let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, all your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together, vigorously rub your hands together to feel the friction, the temperature, the pressure, the motion, the tickling and tingling when you stop. And allow all those sensations to bring you present, right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables us to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So today we're talking about the web of life and really the interconnectedness and the interrelatedness of life itself and of us within it. And I think it can be all too easy to fall into a place of isolation, of loneliness, feeling like we're on our own in the world. And the truth is that we are inseparable from, maybe even one with, we might be able to say, all of natural life. We can't have an experience of our senses without some kind of connection to at least the illusion of the external world, including other humans, including nature, animals, circumstances, the forces of nature, whether they be gravity or temperature or precipitation or humidity. The fact that we experience the world through our senses, by definition, is connection and relationship that we really, in this physicalness that we really can't escape. As long as we're having a sense-based experience, we're connected to something beyond ourselves. If we think about food and water and shelter, all of these elements are elements of connection. We can't breathe without being connected to the air, to the other beings that have breathed before us, that to the atmosphere, to the stars, even as they have disintegrated into our atmosphere and leave some contribution, some residue, even in the air we breathe and the water we drink and the fuels we use, the things we create, the objects we touch, the fact of our existence or our experiential existence is connected. I don't think that's something that we normally entertain as the case, as a reality. I don't think it's something that is typically part of our awareness, is the inseparability of us and our surroundings. And thinking about this web of life, we were talking the other day about being process. And with this web of life, if we can imagine this interconnecting web connecting everything to everything else, then we can see ourselves perhaps as process, like a flow, like water. We can see ourselves also as a thread in this great, magnificent web. Good morning, Dido. So good to have you here with us this morning. So while, within a web, it's essential that there be threads to hold it together, right? And we come and go as consciousness, right? We're born and then we die, and perhaps that consciousness continues, but that one thread in the web shifts its relationship to the rest of the web, right? If we imagine ourselves as part of this greater connectedness, this greater interconnection, it brings us back to the notion of being an expression of life, being part of this process as things emerge and transform and come in and out of presence, almost like a breath, where we inhale and we exhale, and we live and into experience, and then we pass, who knows where, maybe into another dimension, into a greater whole consciousness, whatever it is, but it's part of this web, this interconnected, interwoven, inseparable, greater continuum that we are part of. And if we've been talking a lot about identity, but if we identify with that greater whole and we are part of the web, we're not separate from the web. So maybe what happens with the in-breath and the out-breath is that we manifest as a thread in the web, and then there's a breath where that thread dissolves, and then perhaps there's a new thread. These metaphors go only so far, I guess, but the point is that if we can presence ourselves to that relationship, if we can be living from that space of relationship and interrelatedness, there's a different sensibility that emerges than one where we see ourselves as isolated beings. There's a consideration or a connectedness and potentially an open-heartedness, a fullness, a wholeness that emerges when we can allow ourselves to be part of this greater thing, that we are one expression of this much greater tapestry that contributes essentially to that tapestry, but is not the tapestry itself. So we are life, but life is not limited to each of us. It's interesting that this is coming up for conversation so consistently, but I think it speaks to perspective and creating context, because that's really what we do in our lives. The unique expression that each of us is, the unique threads in this web that each of us are, to be in service to life, to be in service to the web, is a very different experience than somehow being in service to ourselves in isolation. And also, to recognize ourselves as the web is to recognize the impact that we have. We're not critical to the existence of the web itself, but we have an impact within that web. Like or if you want to take the notion of a tapestry, we impact that tapestry. And it's all part of creating this intricate expression of this greater thing. And so maybe it is, as we manifest in physical form, that's the exhale, that's the giving back, the expression, and the inhale is maybe blinking in and out of this existence with the breath of life. And there are folks who say that that's actually what we do even through the course of our lives, is that we kind of blink into and out of existence, and that our consciousness kind of comes on board in, if we want to give an analogy, we can look at quantum physics and the particle wave kind of thing, that in our physical manifestation, we are particle, more of a fixed kind of entity, or a, a fixed kind of expression. And then with the inhale, perhaps we move into the wave form, which is more of that flow expression. It's non-local, and it's rather magnificent that we have the ability to access those radically different, at least in appearance, those radically different expressions and states of consciousness, where in one moment we can be very enmeshed in our sensual physical experiences, and the next moment we can be in a meditative state that transcends time and space and physicality, and this particle wave expression that we are, within this ever evolving web or tapestry. So just fun to try on different lenses through which to interpret our existence, or to contextualize our existence and our experience, because the way that we think about things does very much color the way that we interact, whether it's on a very personal level in terms of identities and labels that we give ourselves, or on a more existential level where we presence ourselves to our interconnected universe. So when we talk about scale, so to speak, or perspective, when we're zoomed into our individual lives and the trials and tribulations that we tend to focus on, our experience is very different from when we're able to zoom back and get a greater view. So it's kind of like being in that thread and resonating in that thread of the web, versus stepping back and seeing this greater construct that we are integral to, with, and which influences us in ways that probably we don't even have awareness around. So how does that translate to our lives? I think that allowing ourselves to experience, to open ourselves to open our hearts to the experience of connection, of oneness, of a greater whole, shifts our being, shifts the frequency with which we vibrate in the world. And if we feel connected, if we recognize that our behaviors, our thoughts, our emotions radiate out into this web of interconnected energies, and that we receive from those interconnected energies. I think it gives us the ability to be somehow more, maybe more open-hearted, maybe more magnanimous, maybe more curious, more engaged, perhaps. When we are in isolation, when we believe that we are alone, in its deepest, truest sense, when we're not connected, there's by definition othering, right? Because if I'm disconnected from you, you are separate from me. Rosalind says more receptive. Yes, I think so. I think that we are, from a space of connectedness, we're more heart-centered. I think that follows naturally, that we're part of a greater, what I'll call magic, and which for me is deep, deep wonder at how we are nature. So I remember, this is bringing to mind a conversation that I had with a client about connectedness to our bodies. And when we're disconnected, we disconnect from our bodies as well, because our bodies are connected to the world, to, we take in from the world, from oxygen, from water, etc., to survive, to function. And we were talking about being present in our bodies, inhabiting our bodies, being embodied, and how we can receive information, communication, guidance from our bodies, and that our bodies are part of this flow of life, part of nature. And it was so interesting because this person is very engaged in regeneration, which is about very much about honoring place and working with nature, listening to nature, learning from the natural environment that calls us into a certain expression, calls us into a certain alignment. And this person said, and not about, by the way, dominating and controlling nature, but working in harmony with nature. And I think that's really maybe the essence of this conversation. But what they had a revelation, and the revelation was that we are nature. That when we try to dominate and control our bodies, we're trying to dominate and control nature rather than working together with, working in harmony with. And if we recognize that we're inextricably connected, then my disharmony is impacting the greater whole, and the disharmony of the greater whole is having an impact on me. So if I recognize that, perhaps I'm likely to choose creating harmony, to choose creating connection, honoring that connection, to myself, even to my physical form, even to find harmony with it rather than opposition. Because in opposition, I'm only fighting myself. I'm only harming myself. If I am not just this thread as witnessed by the physical form, but I am the energy of the web itself. And my way of being is part of the energy that flows through that web. So first of all, I think it feels better to be connected, to be able to presence ourselves to opening our hearts. When, yeah, I think just see what it feels like to you. Try it on to notice the difference between feeling like an isolated entity or perceiving ourselves as an isolated entity versus perceiving ourselves as part of this greater interconnected, inseparable web. That we're not caught in the web, we are the essence of the web. And notice what feels different about that, because we do get to choose the lens. We do get to choose our perspective, whether we're zoomed in or whether we're viewing from an expanded view. So that's it for today. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. And I go live here each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. And I invite you to please like, follow, and share Enlightened World Network and me. The links are in the description. And as always, it is a deep pleasure and privilege to have the opportunity to muse with you on what it is to be human. So until next time, so much love to you.